We do, at the present time, we only have a couple of laser-safe endotracheal tubes. I have a whole bunch on order that have not arrived yet. These are called laser-shielded tubes. These are basically a Teflon wrapped tube. The ones we are getting in are actually a metal wrapped tube. These guys have a little methylene blue cartridge that is used to fill up the balloon. So if you would punch a hole, you would see a methylene blue leak before you would run into any problems. Our new ones that are coming in, we have cuffed and uncuffed tubes. As I said, they are metal shielded, and they have a double balloon system to them instead of using a single balloon with the methylene blue. And all the new ones being made out of a double balloon system. The big deal on this, you want to make sure anytime you're doing a laser, you're going to have wet towels around the laser site. A lot of times we use these for ENT, so with wet towels around the face, eyes are going to be protected. You're going to have a basin of water or a bottle of water sitting at your field ready to go in case you run into a problem. For the airways, it's probably a better idea to have a bottle saline up. You get an airway fire, you want it to flood the airway. Because you only have a couple seconds between the start of seeing you have an airway fire and to have something that's very, very catastrophic in an airway. Oxygen saturations should always be kept below 30% on delivery. A lot of times in ENT, we will actually go what's called an active technique. Allow the patient to be hyperoxygenated for a few minutes, take out, and you're going to be working without getting any supplemental oxygen. As soon as the O2 sat starts to drop, again, you will stop lasing, remask or re-intubate, and hyperventilate again. We can work off with a lot of our endotracheal our laryngoscopy blades have little side ports. You can put an endotracheal tube on and deliver like 30% oxygen that way. If you can keep up oxygen saturation while you're working, that's probably the easiest way of doing it. If you can't, then you have to go and hyperventilate and then allow the patient to allow the work to be done under apneic conditions. For the most part, the docs are very, very cooperative as far as soon as they hear the change in the O2 sat starting to drop, they will back off and say, please re-intubate or whatever. As far as laser masks are concerned, anytime you use a laser, you really should use a mask. You're doing a regular laser case, it is safe to use what's called a high filtration mask. They're the little silver gray guys. There's a box on here at all times, and there's like 5 boxes in the back. You should always be used anytime a laser is being used, other than maybe an eye laser, because everything else internal, there's no fumes on an eye laser. If you're doing a urology is doing kidney stone, you don't have to worry about a laser for that. Again, there's not going to be anything, you're not going to be using a mask for those. There's not going to be any fumes generated. If you are doing a case that has any papillomas or any viruses, or if you just don't want to use one of these regular masks, you can use one of the N95 masks. We have the duckbill masks and the cone masks both. Just make sure that they are the N95s, and you'll be perfectly safe for using those. Again, if you happen to smell anything when you're doing the cases, you're not getting rid of the fumes well enough. Break out some other way of doing it. Check, make sure this is working right, or go from the little inline filters to these. As far as using the lasers themselves, there should only ever be 1 foot pedal on the ground at the time. That should be a laser pedal. Make sure the doc knows where the pedal is. Make sure they're not accidentally standing on the laser. If we have reps come in, the reps are the ones that control the standby and the activation of the laser. With these guys, the docs do it by themselves. So just make sure there's nothing underneath anybody's feet that could accidentally be triggering these lasers. shut-offs. Each laser is going to have an emergency shut-off switch. And hello, and they are red. And you push them in to shut them off, and that should not ever come off like that. I have to have Dennis look at this. That should not happen. There you go. Laser keys. Each laser is controlled by a key. The key should never ever be left with the laser. It should always be kept in the lock box out front of the main desk. And each one of these lasers, they are marked off individually which laser they belong to. So you should not have any problems with that. At the end of the case, make sure they are shut down and they're taken out. Dr. Weavy, who usually uses these guys, hand walks his laser key out to the desk himself every day. Because I guess he's had two times he's come back looking for the keys and somebody has left it in the laser. So he's gotten into the habit of just walking them out at the end of the shift. Laser signage. One thing I did forget to say is that the laser signs, again, each laser has its own sign. It tells you which wavelength laser it is, what type of laser it is. There should be one on each one of the entranceways. Also, a pair of goggles should be hung there also. So if there's ever any problems, nobody should be walking in your room without a pair of glasses on. They knock on the door and say, you're using laser? Yeah. Make sure they have a pair of goggles to wear before they come in. If they walk in without a pair of glasses, either throw one to them or shove them out the door. Whichever you can do fastest. Because I don't want anybody to get blasted. Let's see now, proper laser signage. As far as instrumentation is concerned, instruments when used during the laser shall be non-reflective. The ones we use in ENT especially for our mastoid surgeries are all ebonized, they're all black. You hit it with a laser, there's no scatter whatsoever, which is good. Some of the other instruments are just a non-shiny finish. They will deflect, maybe they'll possibly deflect, but they won't scatter. So you have to be a little careful with those. But for the most part, try to keep away from using anything other than ebonized equipment if you can. And, let's see here, signage, smoke bag, goggles. Okay, we did that.
Yeah, then it's like Surg Tech on the bottom, so it's nurse on the front, so it should be all the same stuff.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything on here. Okay, it says use a documented laser logbook. The only laser logbooks we would have, in all truth and honesty, are for dermatology lasers. The rest of the ours get go into the charts. But they should be in the chart no matter what. But dermatology always keeps a track of theirs because they always like to go back, and a lot of these kids have to come back in for numerous procedures on the port line stands or whatever. And they like to be able to go back in and see what they were used to treat the last time. How many pulses were used, and how many pulses and what the power was used for the treatments. So they'll go in, they'll check out that, they'll adjust accordingly depending upon what they see. And guys, the only laser that you do not use laser covers on is a CO2 laser. CO2 lasers will not penetrate glass. You still have to use a special CO2 glass. They are clear, but they're kind of specific for the simple reason that they are wraparounds. A lot of times you run into a problem and have somebody want to use regular glasses. That's fine. They turn like this with regular glasses, you can still get nailed in the eye. So always use. Make sure you do have a pair of wraparound glasses, or when it comes to worse, a whole pair of goggles. Karen, I think that's it.
Any questions?
Any questions, guys? Oh, one other thing. Forgot. The laser should be checked before the patient comes in the room. The dermatology lasers have a self-test in here that the doctors always do to perform the test. Or you can test the laser beam off a wet tongue blade. they'll be able to tell them, they'll give an idea if they have a setting that's going to be too high or too low to do their job. But we always have these in the drawer also. And I think that's it. Any questions, guys?
Do you have to take that laser card every time you use the laser?
Depending upon the type of laser you're using. If we're doing the dermatology lasers, we usually don't. If you're doing any of the ENT cases, definitely yes. The urology, no. If dermatology, I got to talk to Dr. Levy about that to see if he would think there would be of any benefit as far as having this in his room. Because every so often there's a little bit of fumy on those. So I want to talk to him about those. And any other questions, guys?
Say if we use a red laser or a red diode or green diode, can we just take all the, can we take the whole bin or do we have to take like the?
You can just take the glass. Just take the bin that has the individual glasses in. Yeah, you just do that. You can just do that. And the procedures we usually use them on mostly on is ENT. We use them for any airway lesions. We use them for those. Urology will use, I said, the holmium laser. It'll be used for stones. Dermatology, port wines, etc. You can also use it for tattoo removals, which is the Alexandrite laser. That's one of the uses for that. They're the ones we use. They're the ones we use mostly. I'm sure there are other scattered ones. Dental will use a green diode laser for gum surgery.